DCarsonCPA CALS, reiteration of the whiteboards. This is in 2019, closing out to 2020. DCarsonCPA CALS lines are creative artist lines. They are a subset of DCarsonCPA PRTC lines, and the DCarsonCPA CALS lines in this case include creative artist lines and the semi-attached lines of Dean Live, which flow into the musicians lines. We'll cover that in a minute. The DCarsonCPA lines cover the ecosystem, the financial, legal, tech, teamwork, communications, PR, advertising, speakers, and other lines into the CALS specific lines, which are the creative artist lines, certainly a subset of DCarsonCPA. The cerebral visual arts lines are the writers, into the storytellers, the visual art lines of the designers, including fashion, the filmmakers, the photography, the artists, the sculptures, the galleries, and that's newer stuff. Some of that's in there, but also some of that's growth lines. And then into creative artist lines, which are about the chefs and restaurants, hospitality. None of that's a surprise. There's been a lot of work in those areas. Architecture and design work being structural design, which is great stuff. Certainly a subset of creative arts in the way that technical skills, which include these skills amalgamated into engineering, flow into things in this spot. And then a couple new lines in here, which are the crafts and the woodworking lines. Jewelry lines had been in there, but are kind of rolled up. So they're not active lines right now, but they're open lines, so that where interest comes in, we have a plan and a way to help map them in. And then over here on the other side is the musicians line, and you'll find that in there there's music, live music, there's all genres. There's music as a cultural art, and then music as a heritage art, meaning the national songs, the songs and different elements where they play into cultural heritage and things that are important to preserve, which may not otherwise be so noted, but are very important. Woodworking is an exciting new line. It's got a lot to do with the art and that and carpentry, and there's some new developments and finding fun in the carpentry line. So I wanted to bring those, incorporate them in explicitly. So the carpenter lines are in, and metalworking and electricians lines are in there too, but that's kind of a crossover to engineering. So that will appear under DCarsonCPA engineering lines. In this line collectively, there's a common theme. That's that the creative artist lines are expression lines for the visual, for the written, for the spoken, and the textual lines, contextual and textual lines, and the tactile lines is what I'm really meaning to say there. It's about how the creative arts flow into, at the end of the day, communications, public relations, advertising, and teamwork, because a lot of the creative artist lines are about getting messages or communicating messages in through different fashions, be it in written words, film, art, music, or be it in sculptures or galleries which express ideas. Could be photographers, as noted here. It could be films. Could be other type of art. Fine. In here, chefs and restaurant lines. Well, there's an art to chef, artistry to the chef's lines. Hospitality is an art too, because it's definitely something that just doesn't come to people. You got to build out the lines, and there's a craft to making people feel well welcomed and building places where people want to come to, being hotels and entertainment establishments, nightclubs, and other type things. So that's all in there. And the architecture and design, well, certainly that's a creative line where people are using mathematical and engineering skills, but they're getting into creation and structure, which is exciting stuff that we must be involved with over time to help out. And then going into creative artist lines and Dean Live, as an offshoot of the DCarsonCPA CALS line, what happened was took a musical education from Berklee College of Music at a younger age in a high school program for gifted musicians, later lines to music classes with someone who'd been, quite fortunately, in a class with Quincy Jones. They may not have been tightly connected, but they were certainly in the same class, receiving the same education. And there's a lot of lines wherein the music connects to engineering tech, which is just at home with the ecosystem, financial, legal, tech, teamwork, comms, and pathways to teamwork, as well as the message that runs across here. And there's a critical relevance of all this to not only the arts themselves, but to the pathways with data science, because the value of data science, financials, legal technology, and the entity policy and community lines has to flow through lines of communications, and all of these represent tools to elements of communication. And we can get into that later on, but just wanted to have this as a quick video. We hadn't touched this in a while and just wanted to put it up. Thanks a lot. This is DCarsonCPA 2019, stepping into 2020, and 2020 is going to be a big push on the board lines. Thanks very much, and we'll talk soon.